So welcome to JG's Fight Talk. Yes, it is here again. I'm really sorry to ruin your evening. It's Joel and Adam on JG's
A pleasure as always.
But we are here. Yeah, we've got this one, Adam. Again, Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank Jr. Let's give a quick lowdown at the Manchester Arena on the 2nd of September. Great weekend for boxing as well, people, just to give you the heads up. Liam Smith, 37 fights, 33 wins, 1 draw, 20 knockouts versus Chris Eubank Jr., 35 fights, 32 wins, 23 knockouts. The last fight, obviously, in January, where Smith won by TKO in round 4. We saw a lot of bandy legs after that punch. That was a cracking finish. There's no other way to describe it, is there? Even Eubank didn't know what was going on as he stumbled to keep fighting at the end. And his team had to sort of go, look, come on, mate, you have lost this one. People have been saying, Adam, revenge or repeat. For us, it's only repeat.
Well, so if anyone who's followed boxing for an extended period of time knows that in the majority of cases, rematches go the same way as the first fight, but more convincingly. Now, I do reckon in this case that Eubank goes a little bit longer this time in this fight, but what's changed? Nothing's changed.
Has he ever changed? Has he ever changed?
But so this was so again, right? Really enjoy Chris because the way he fights is dead entertaining. Like before Roy, he threw a lot of punches. He was always great to watch. The chin is the really worrying bit. The fact that he just went like that is really interesting. Again, you look at the weight. I don't see how they sell this fight. So we were talking about this again off air. Contractually, I understand how we've arrived at it. I don't see how it sells. And boxing at the minute has this thing where they seem to think we're all idiots. And it's driving me insane. You're not going to stand there and tell me that he was knocked out by an elbow. Now, whether an elbow landed or not, he was knocked out, right? It's a fight. And we were talking about this is when you throw a punch, especially if it's a hook, I was always taught if this part misses and it comes through like that, that's just what happens. And hooks and elbows land all the time. It wasn't like he went in with an elbow like it was a UFC fight.
It's not intentional. He didn't go in like this. He came in with a punch.
And let's be fair, if you look at all the replays, it's not like he didn't then proceed to land with other punches. I don't like being treated by an idiot, and that's how they're going to try and sell this fight. And you'll have some fanatical fans on one side that'll totally agree with it, but I'm not having it, and I don't see the difference. And I said this at the start. Yeah, there we go. It's just it is just one of those things. And Chris has never won a legitimate world title. He's never beaten a world-class fighter when they're still world-class, because his best wins are against guys that were done. Like De Gea was done by the time Chris fought him. That doesn't mean he can't have world-class wins. But I don't see
where does Chris sit for you, Adam? Where do you sit Eubank Jr. when you look at like elite, world-class, British level, European, wherever? Where does he sit in that?
Fringe world level? Like Liam's a legitimate contender. Like Liam is a legitimate top king. He's shown it again, former world champion. Liam's a legit world level guy, and Chris hasn't shown that yet. And he can. I would have preferred to have seen Chris back up at 168 because that.
Can Chris win this? Can Chris win it?
Chris can win this. I don't see how, but he can because there's only 2 guys in there. But if you're asking where my money's going, I think Smith tops him again, but slightly later, around round 8 to 10. I'm hoping that the time. So Chris obviously then didn't have to make the weight for the Ben fight. That never happened, and then he rehydrates back up, and hopefully the chance that he's had will solidify him again at 160. But I don't see how he wins this fight. I don't think he knocks out Smith, and Smith, I think, walks through him again. As you say, it was TKO around 4 last time. So are we saying sort of between 6 to 8? Is that what I reckon? Yeah, round 8, so mid to late rounds. But yeah, I just don't see. I don't see the difference. I don't see what's changed. Yeah, he's great.
He's great at promoting his fights, but he can't back it up. He's a charlatan every time. He steps up to the world level and gets beat. Smith, 6th knockout, nothing changes in my opinion. Yeah, I think
One of those few
I'm
fights
sitting with
I'm
you.
shocked
6
at.
to 8. I think it's in that 6 to 8. I just can't see. Eubank doesn't listen. I think if anyone thinks otherwise, then I don't really get it. But he's never. It took him ages to get a trainer, and then when he got a trainer, is he really listening to him? Because when the plan doesn't work, when plan A doesn't work, he just reverts to what he was before, and that didn't work. So it's almost like he's just going to get picked to bits, and the engine's going to get broken down, and we're going to see the stoppage again for Smith, in my opinion.
With Roy, I actually think he does listen to Roy, but I don't necessarily think that's a good thing, because the way, do you remember the Marcus Morrison fight? Eubank had Morrison out there, but he was doing a Roy Jones light impression, and a lot of things with boxing is it should all be very fluid and constant. And Chris was boxing like he was going, right, stand like this, throw this, stand like this, do this. The hand comes away like Roy. And you can't do that because he's not going to be able to walk around Liam, because that's not how he does. And then if he tries to stand there and have a fight with him, we're questioning physically, can he make the weight in the same way? But Liam's a better fighter, just all round. If you go back and watch the Canelo fight where Liam fought Canelo at 156, Liam and Canelo are really, really well matched up until Alvarez kicks up the gears that Liam just doesn't have at that elite level, which is fine. But I don't see, for what Chris did to learn to box lessened what he was good at. And it's the thing we've seen a couple of times, like Josh Taylor up here. He became an all-round better boxer when he was at Davidson, in terms of he would fade more, he would throw more straight punches, but that made him a worse boxer because that's not what he's good at. If you're an A+ at something, you do everything you can to accentuate that aspect, rather than giving yourself, right, I'm going to make myself overall a B fighter, rather than going, I'm an A+ here, here, and here. Khan, perfect example, Amir Khan, right? Amir was A+ at speed. Unbelievable. When he was with Freddie Roach, they accentuated that aspect. When he went to Virgil, the more he tried to stop and move and think, you take away what he's good at. And what Chris was really good at was he was dead fit, he was dead hard, and he threw punches in bunches. We're worried about the weight, so how's his chin? He's still going to be really, really fit. He's going to throw a load of punches, but Liam's going to throw back, and Liam punches harder.
So what happens to the loser of this fight? What happens to Eubank Jr. if he loses this? Well, if he loses this fight.
If he loses this fight, the Conor Benn fight still happens because there's money in it. So that's what happens. But he's got two options then. He either goes to 168 and he has to earn his credibility back at that level, which is what I would prefer. Or he fights Ben and he makes as much money as he can, and then he can decide what he wants to do with it.
Yeah.
If Liam loses, the third fight happens. Maybe. Yeah. Actually, no, I think if Liam loses, I still think they fight Ben, personally. But it's hard for Liam at this stage to then go, right, I'll rebuild it again. I'd like to see Liam Williams get a title shot against Janez Beck. That's the fight I would like to see next, because the Golovkin fight at Anfield's not going to happen because Gennadi's pretty much retired. But Janez Beck's the fight for Liam if he wins. And I think Ben probably is still the fight for Eubank, given that even if he loses, he'll go, right, we'll have the Ben fight at 164. Ben comes back off everything that's there. We're not going to touch on that. And I think that's probably the way it'll go.
Cool. Well, there you have it, people. Let us know in the comments. Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank Jr. Adam's going for an 8-round stoppage for Liam Smith. I'm going to go in that 6 to 8. I reckon it could be more the 6. But I think he wins by stoppage, in my opinion. If it goes to points, he'll choose for it to go to points. But I still think he breaks down that engine of Eubank Jr. and gets a stoppage, in my opinion. But let us know in the comments. Chuck it below. Does Chris Eubank Jr., does he come into this fight with a different view, a different approach? Just can't see it. But can he do it? Let us know. Adam, thank you very much, as always. And we will see you soon. Hit the subscribe button and have some of this.